All right, let's do this. Manny Pacman. Pacquiao, you weren't kidding about wanting the whole picture. We've got Wikipedia articles, even his fight stats.
Yeah.
Someone's going deep.
Yeah, it's more than just boxing with him. There's a whole story there that goes way beyond the ring.
Right, because this isn't just your average boxing champ, is it? This is a guy who went from, like, absolute poverty to becoming a global icon. Think about that for a second. Running away at 14, living on the streets of Manila. That was Pacquiao's reality.
It really makes you wonder, like, what drives a person like that to not only escape a life like that, but to then reach the absolute peak of, let's be honest, a brutal sport like boxing. Talk about human resilience, right?
It's kind of mind-blowing. I was looking at his early life, started boxing at 12, turned pro at 16. You just know this wasn't some casual hobby. It was his way out.
Oh, yeah, this was survival before it was sport, for sure. I read somewhere that he used to have to put weights in his pockets for his early fights just to make the weight requirements. That kind of says it all.
Wow. I can barely get myself to the gym when I want to go.
No.
Those early fights, those were mostly on, what, local TV and stuff? But something about him obviously broke through, because here we are, all these years later, still talking about him.
Even back then, you could see it, His style was different, aggressive, exciting. And that nickname, Pacman, it just stuck with you. He had raw talent, no doubt, but there was also this charisma, It came through even on those fuzzy TV screens.
And speaking of making it big, we got to talk about those 8 world championships across 8 different weight divisions. I mean, most boxing fans know Pacquiao was a champ, but 8 divisions, come on, that's almost unheard of.
It really is. It's practically unheard of, especially in the modern era.
So, like, break it down for me. For us non-boxing nerds, what makes that such a big deal?
Okay, so you've got to understand, most boxers, they struggle to stay competitive when they move up or down even one weight class, right? Their power's different, their speed, everything changes. But Pacquiao, he's conquering, not just competing, in 8 different divisions. It's the boxing equivalent of, like, Michael Jordan playing baseball and basketball at the same time and being amazing at both.
Okay, that's a visual.
And we're not just talking about any weight classes either. He conquered 4 of the most prestigious divisions: flyweight, featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight. Those are the glamour divisions, the ones with the history, the biggest fights.
Right, so these weren't just, like, any wins. We're talking some legendary names here, right?
Oh, yeah, legends. Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Oscar De La Hoya. These were huge events.
Those Morales fights especially. I remember those being brutal.
Brutal and exciting, back and forth knockdowns. You didn't know who was going to win till the final bell. The definition of a slugfest.
And get this, in 2019, he becomes the oldest welterweight champ in history at that age.
Amazing, right? Beat Keith Thurman, a much younger fighter, to take the WBA welterweight title. Really showed you age wasn't slowing him down. At least not then.
Not then, no.
Yeah.
But you're right. His 2 most recent fights, those tell a different story. A draw against Rukiampo, and then that loss to Yordenis.
Father Time catches up to everyone eventually, I guess, even Pacquiao.
Right. But still, even with those 8 divisions, wins against absolute legends. It's hard to argue with a career like that.
I'm kidding.
What gets me, though, what we haven't even gotten into yet, is that the boxing. It was just one part of this whole other side of Pacquiao.
Right. It's almost like he had too much ambition for just one field.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy dabbled in politics, music, acting. He was everywhere.
It's really unusual when you think about it. I mean, you see athletes trying to leverage fame into, like, movies or endorsements, sure, but Pacquiao, he went for it in all these different directions.
Full on, yeah. So, okay, let's unpack this a little.
Yeah.
We got this guy, world champion boxer, and he decides to run for office. And not just like city council or something.
Yeah.
We're talking the Philippine House of Representatives back in 2010. Then he becomes a senator in 2016. That's a whole other arena.
It's wild, right? And, the Philippine political landscape, it's not for the faint of heart. It's a complex system, very passionate people. For someone with Pacquiao's fame to step into that world, it's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes you wonder, was it about using his platform, trying to make a difference in a new way?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, was it a sense of duty? A desire to give back to his country on a larger scale? Or was it, like some people said, maybe a stepping stone to even higher office someday? Who knows?
I guess we'll see on that one.
Yeah.
Though it's interesting, some of the articles mentioned his Senate attendance. It wasn't exactly stellar, let's just say.
Yeah.
Then again, I can't imagine trying to juggle that with a boxing career.
Talk about a double life. Training for a title fight while also debating legislation.
Right. And then there's the fact that, well, let's just say, not all of his views were exactly uncontroversial,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it came to, like, his stance on same-sex marriage. That caused a lot of backlash, right?
Oh, yeah, that definitely put him in the hot seat. And it wasn't just talk either. Remember when Nike dropped their sponsorship over it?
Big statement. Shows how much those kinds of personal beliefs can affect your whole public image, especially when you're on a global stage like that.
For sure. Your words have weight, whether you want them to or not.
Okay, but let's talk about something a little lighter, because this is where it gets really interesting for me. The music. The guy charted on Billboard. Like, actually charted.
Right. You're not alone, I was surprised too. Like, we've all heard those celebrity albums that are, well, let's just say they don't always set the charts on fire. But Pacquiao, his cover of Sometimes When We Touch hit number 19 on the adult contemporary chart.
No way.
Swear, he even performed on Jimmy Kimmel more than once. He wasn't messing around.
Okay, that's dedication. You know what it reminds me of? It's that same drive, that fearlessness you see in the ring. It's like he doesn't just dip his toe in. He dives in head first, no matter what it is. Politics, music, you name it.
Maybe it's that drive to conquer, to test his limits, see what he's capable of outside that one world he knew so well.
I feel that. Though I gotta say, it hasn't all been smooth sailing, has it? Looking at his track record, there's some bumps along the way. I mean, tax issues, lawsuits, it makes you think about the pressures, That level of fame, the fortune that comes with it, it's got to be a double-edged sword.
Oh, absolutely. And let's be real, the higher you climb, the further you have to fall, right? People are always watching, waiting for you to slip up. And it's a good reminder that, nobody's perfect. Even someone as talented and driven as Pacquiao, he's still human. He makes mistakes.
So we've got this incredible athlete, this complex political figure, this surprisingly good musician. It's a lot. And I got to be honest, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. What's the takeaway? Like, what did we learn from this deep dive, besides the fact that Pacquiao contains multitudes?
I think, for me, it's that Pacquiao is a walking, talking paradox. He embodies this whole rags to riches story, right? The kid who literally fought his way out of poverty to become this global icon. It's inspiring, but he's also, like we've been saying, flawed. He's made some questionable choices, faced a lot of criticism, yet he keeps pushing forward. He keeps striving.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's something we can all relate to. We all have our own ambitions, our own contradictions. We're all just trying to figure it out as we go.
That's a really good way to put it. And it's funny, even with all the success he found outside the ring, he always seemed to be drawn back to boxing. It's like this magnetic pull,
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? What is it about that sport, about fighting, that kept calling him back?
Maybe it's that primal need, that pure, unfiltered test of will. You're literally putting yourself on a line, facing your opponent, your fears head on. It's a level of honesty that you don't get in a lot of other areas of life. Maybe that's what he kept going back for, that rawness, that authenticity.
Wow. Thinking about it that way, it's like boxing was his home, in a way. No matter how far he ventured out into the world, he always found his way back to that one constant.
It's powerful.
It really is. And it leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As Pacquiao moves into this next chapter, how will he be remembered? Will it be for his dominance in the ring, his political career, his music? Or will it be for all of it, this big, messy, complicated legacy? And is that even up to him? Or will history decide for him?
Man, I don't know. That's the question, isn't it?
Big stuff to think about. This has been... Wow, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening. Thanks for walking me through it.
Anytime. Always happy to go down the rabbit hole.
Seriously. All right, everyone, that's it for our deep dive into the world of Manny Pacman Pacquiao. Until next time.